It's the DBA study guide video for Module 3. Moment you've been waiting for. All right, let's start with this question. A baker bakes muffins using a powdered mix. There's a proportional relationship between the scoops of muffin mix and the amount of milk needed. For every 3 scoops of muffin mix, half a pint of milk is needed. For every 4.5 scoops of muffin mix, 3/4 of a pint of milk is needed. And then there's 4 different parts. So let's take it one part at a time. Part 1 says, find the constant of proportionality. Show every step of your work. So for this part, I suggest that we use the point 3 1/2. If you like, you could have also used the point 4.5 and 3/4. But since they're telling us for every number of scoops, this much milk is needed, that means that the number of scoops is your independent or your X, and the number or the amount of liquid or milk is your Y, is dependent, okay? So I'm going to use the point 3 1/2. It says find the constant of proportionality. So we know that, excuse me, the constant of proportionality means that we can take any Y and divide by its X to find this number that will stay the same regardless of which point we choose, right? So that means I should be able to take 1/2 and divide that by 3 to get my constant of proportionality. Now, this looks kind of messy, right? I'm going to do it first with fractions, and then I'll do it with decimals, okay? So first with fractions. 1/2 divided by 3. I'm going to write that as 1/2 divided by 3/1. And now whenever we divide fractions, we always multiply by the reciprocal, right? Some of you know this as keep, change, flip. So I'm going to do 1/2 times 1/3, and I get 1/6. So that is my constant of proportionality. It's 1/6. All right, now I'm going to show it with decimals. So I know that 1/2 is the same as 0.5. So 0.5 divided by 3, and I get 0.5 divided by 3. I get a repeating decimal. I get 0.16666666666 forever. So if I round to the nearest hundredth, it would be 0.17. Okay, so here it is in fraction form, here it is in decimal form, and whichever way you prefer is fine, unless it specifically says use one or the other. Now, anytime I get a repeating decimal, I would rather use the fraction, because if you use a repeating decimal, the answer is going to change depending on how you round it. And if they're not telling you how to round it, then it's a good idea not to round at all, right? So if I'm not rounding at all, that means that I would have to use the fraction version, right? Because if I use a decimal that's been rounded, my answer might be a little bit off, right? Because I had to round, so I had to estimate. With the fraction version, it's exact. So I would write this k value as 1/6. All right, so that's step number 1. I found the constant of proportionality. It is 1/6. Write an equation that represents the relationship. So we know that the equation for a proportional relationship is y equals k times x. We just found k in part A, so now I can write my equation. It's just as simple as writing y equals 1/6 x. That's it. There's not a whole lot of work to show. I already showed how I got k in the first part, so now I just plug that value in for k in the second part. All right, moving on. Describe how you would graph the relationship. Whenever you're asked how you would graph it, there are two parts to your answer. The first part is how you would label the axes. So you might say something like, I would label the x-axis with number of scoops, and I would label the y-axis, I should write the word label, with pints of milk, right? So first things first, if you're describing how to graph it, make sure you mention how you would label the x-axis and how you would label the y-axis. The second part is give me a few points that the line will go through. So it's a good idea to always use the point 0, 0, because if it's a proportional relationship, which we're told that it is, it will always go through 0, 0. And then we could list this point, 3, 1/2, and we could list this point, 4 1/2, and 3/4. And you wouldn't just write the points, you would write a complete sentence like, I would plot the points this, this, and this, and connect them with a line. All right, so that's how we would describe the graph. And then we move on to the last part. How many pints of milk are needed for 12 scoops of muffin mix? So I'm going to use a proportion for this. I know that 3 scoops will require a 1/2 pint. So now I want to know 4 scoops. I'm sorry, not 4. 12 scoops. You guys can see where I got that for, right? I'm already thinking ahead. 12 scoops for how many pints? Right? We don't know. So you could use the butterfly method here. You could say that 3 times x. Actually, I'll show you both. So first I'm going to use the equivalent fractions method. And what that means is I can see that 3 goes into 12. And I know that in order to get 12, I would have to do 3 times 4. So I would multiply by 4 on the bottom as well. 1/2 times 4 is 4/2, which is 2. So I would find that x is 2, so 2 pints. The butterfly method means that we're going to multiply the cross products, right? So let me erase some stuff here because I don't want it getting in the way. All right. So the butterfly method says that I would multiply these two. So that would be 3x. And that would equal these two. 1/2 times 12 is 6. And then to solve this one-step equation, my x is being multiplied by 3, so I would divide by 3. And x is 2. All right, so regardless of whether you use the equivalent fraction method or the butterfly method, we get 2. So 2 pints of milk will be needed for 12 scoops of muffin mix. Oh, there's another way you could do this. You could use your equation, right? So we have an equation. Our equation is y equals kx, right? Or better, y equals 1/6 x. Our number of scoops is x, and our pints of milk are y, right? Remember, our scoops are x and our pints of milk is y. So I can just put this number straight in here. So y is equal to 1/6 times 12, which is 2. So whether you use the equivalent fractions method or the butterfly method or the equation method, you'll get 2. All right. So I could ask you about any one of these methods during the DBA. So make sure you're prepared to explain all 3. Okay? And let me know now before your DBA if you have questions. Okay, the second question is a cost and tip and tax question. Okay, so, and discount. We have a cost of a meal and it's $85. The family has a 10% off coupon. Calculate the new price. All right, so if it's 10% off, let's find out what 10% of 85 is, right? What is 10% of 85? So 10%, I would write that as a decimal and multiply. So 0.10 or 0.1, which is 1/10, times 85 is 8.5. That's $8.50 that they get to take off. So the amount of discount is $8.50. To get the new price, I have to actually take that off. So 85 minus $8.50. So let's see. 85 minus 8 would be 77? Yes, 85 minus 8 would be 77, and then take off another 50 cents, so 76.50. You can do that on your calculator. You don't have to try to do it in your head. All right, method 2 is if I'm taking 10% off, right? I start with 100%, having to pay 100%. I get to take 10% of that off. 100% minus 10% is 90%. So I could just find 90% of 85, and that would be 0.9 times 85, and that will also be 76.50. So whether you find the amount of discount and then subtract it, or you subtract the percent from 100 and then find that, you're going to get the same answer. All right, because paying 90% of 85 is the same as taking off 10%. Good? All right, so either method works. We're going to do something similar for the tip part of the problem. How much is a 24% tip using the new price? Now, for this question, I have to actually find the amount of tip. There are 2 questions here. How much is the tip and what is the final cost? Okay, so how much is the tip? 24%. So I need to find 24% of 76.50. That means that I have to change this to a decimal, which is 0.24, and multiply. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to try to do that one in my head. 0.24 times 76.5 is 18.36. Now, this is a tip, right? So this is extra that you have to pay. The coupon allowed us to take money off. For the tip, we have to add money on. So we're going to take our bill, right? This is our bill amount, 76.50, and we're going to add on that tip. And we get plus $94.86. Now, for this particular question, I wouldn't do this the other way. I'm going to show you what you would do if you only needed the final cost, right? If it was just asking you what is the final cost, then you can do 100% plus 24%, right? 100% plus 24% is 124%. 124% as a decimal is 1.24, and I can multiply that by my bill amount, and I will get right to the final amount. If I needed just the final cost, the second method is faster. I wouldn't use it here because they're asking me how much is the tip. I need to know this number to answer the first question. And then I add it on to get my final answer. If this question was only asking about the final cost, I would do it this way. All right, I would add the 24% onto the 100% that I have to pay, multiply 1.24 times my bill total, and then get my total amount. All right, any questions? Let me know. Talk to you soon.